front, and so they're always having conversations when they're doing.
Can you look at the camera?
I'm here too.
This time on the Dr. Z Show, we talk about animation some more, and Brenna's gonna talk like Skeletor the entire show.
My voice. What are you talking about? This is how I speak.
Yeah, all the other times it's been a fake voice.
So you're
she's been dubbed.
No, she's been like Alec Baldwin's wife.
What?
Alec Baldwin's wife has been pretending to be Hispanic.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. It's weird.
It's a weird thing.
Yeah.
What?
Anyways,
what?
It doesn't matter now.
Why
but I thought
do you know that, and how is it related?
So, because let's imagine that Brenna's real voice was that she sounded like Skeletor this whole time, and she's been putting on a Brenna accent for our benefit. So, I was thinking about that, she's like, oh, this is how, someone being like, this is how I actually talk, and you all have just heard an accent this whole time,
I'm still missing the Alec Baldwin's wife, comparison. What?
She's...
Okay.
Imagine that Brenna...
I'm just gonna look it up. I got it.
Imagine Rachel Dolezal, but Brenna identifying,
2020.
instead of as an African-American member,
that
she identified as Skeletor.
In December 2020, a Twitter user accused Baldwin of impersonating a Spanish person and posting a number of video clips of Baldwin speaking in a contrived Spanish accent, including a clip
his
from
wife
the
or him?
Her. So her name is Hillary, but she's recently been going by Hilaria.
Hilaria Baldwin.
Her name, or her born name, is Hillary Lynn Hayward Thomas. There's nothing.
Yeah, and her reasoning for it is that she spent some time in Spain.
Her father's an attorney with an undergraduate degree in Spanish literature. That's seemingly.
I spent some time in China, but I don't go around telling people I'm Chinese.
She's English, Irish, French, Canadian, German, and Slovak. None of those.
So she is the whitest person imaginable. She is the whitest person.
Yeah. She often misidentifies as either Mallorcan, Spanish, or Latina, encouraging positive press by Hispanic media, such as Spanish-language celebrity gossip magazine Hola, with exclamation points.
Right.
Naturally.
Of course.
Anyway. Welcome back to another episode of the Dr. Z Show.
Jesus Christ, yeah.
We have a special guest. I mentioned him last episode, but I'd like to introduce you to my friend ComicKnightZero, or Malik.
Hey there, how's it going? Thank you for inviting me, guys. Really appreciate it.
No, thank you for being here, man. We appreciate
with this mess that we've already begun.
I know. We're 3 minutes in and we are already off track. Okay.
I mean, we had to be authentic. If we had been structured, you just imagine the outcry from fans. They've been.
God, you guys are like Hilaria Baldwin. You're pretending to be something that you're not.
Comes back.
And we've got to bring it full circle. Okay, so since this is your first episode, Malik, you are legally contractually obligated to answer these 5 questions. Are you prepared?
I will do my best. Do I have to swear my hand on an animation Bible or?
Yeah.
No, just know that if anything you say is wrong, you'll be burnt at the stake.
Oh no.
It's an animated stake, though.
It is an animated stake, yeah. All right, so question 1. What is one thing, we'll start negative and then we'll go positive. What's one thing you dislike that other people like?
One thing I dislike that other people like.
What's overrated to you?
Overrated?
Yeah.
And careful what you say, because if you say the wrong thing, Brenna will attack you viciously.
No. It's just you. It's only you I do this to.
Okay, so dislike, but everybody likes. I will probably go with the anime JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Okay.
Ooh,
I
that's
can
a
see that.
hot take. And an unpopular opinion in our friend group.
I have to ask why, but like the shortest version of why.
It's, I guess, quote unquote bizarre nature in just the way it like goes about its storytelling. It reminds me a lot of what I didn't like in earlier Adventure Time. And it's
Are you
very
saying it
kooky,
suffers
crazy.
from Manic Pixie Dream Girl energy?
I'll just say the humor wasn't for me.
Cool.
I liked the humor in like the first season. Like I thought it was fine, but then when they go into more of like the adult, like just kind of general like immature humor in like seasons, like in the I guess story, it's like season 2/story 3. I was just like, like I could do without this.
I feel that.
Okay.
Seems fair.
Conversely, what is something you like that everyone else seems to hate?
I might get flack for this, depending on
Uh-huh.
your preference, but I enjoyed the movie Boss Baby. No, in no way will I ever try to defend
That might
it.
be a hotter take.
I think this is the hottest take.
Now, I might be
K.
influenced because I have a younger brother myself. Well, technically 3, but I don't know, the one I'm closest to. I don't know, that film resonated with me in that sense, but no way will I try to defend it. If you hate it, you hate it. But I enjoy it.
Would you call it like a fun romp for you? Just
I thought it was fun.
Brenna?
Huh?
Was that a pun?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Actually,
She had to slip it in there somehow.
I did.
But I mean, long story short version of it is, I don't know, a lot of it reminded me of like sort of like Rugrats aspect where their imagination kind of makes things seem a bit more dramatic than it should be. I think there was like a quote unquote car chase scene in that movie, but really it was just like them and like some pedal car or whatever, just blowing it out of proportion. I don't know.
You know what? I can appreciate that.
Okay.
Speaking of Alec Baldwin.
Oh yeah, no, I was like, wait a second.
How did this happen? Oh my god.
The Alec Baldwin episode.
How did we get here?
He's in an episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
You might as well.
He's one of the random NPCs. He's not
What
really.
is the-
I don't actually know if that's true.
What is the biggest thing that bothers you?
I
Like-
think
Size, like the
Size,
biggest
yeah.
thing.
the biggest thing. Oh man. I don't know if you can put this in terms of size, but it's a pet peeve of mine when people like immediately trash a reboot or spinoff before actually like watching it properly. I think a good example is Teen Titans Go. And a lot of people hated it because it didn't set their expectations, I think. I think they missed the point of what the show was trying to do. I'm not saying it's an amazing show in any regard, but I think what it was going for, there are certainly aspects of it that it does well.
I would agree, and like listening to you talk, and you have a good episode about the movie for it, and I think it really. The movie was self-aware, and the show is very self-aware. Is it good? No. But is it bad? Also, no.
All right, like if you're expecting old Teen Titans, yeah, you're gonna be disappointed.
Yeah, you're gonna be disappointed. But if
that's not
you're
what it's about.
because Old Teen Titans was written and it matured as the show's audience it was originally intended for matured.
yeah,
It was like the slow boil of building expectations, and I would argue that like, and we talked about this weirdly enough in the Pokemon episode, or in an episode where we talked about Pokemon, is like Teen Titans Go is like for audiences now that aren't willing to sit around like and watch an episode, like a new episode every week that boils the slow story of like Robin and Slade, or Raven and her father coming to like destroy the Earth, or Beast Boy and Terra, and then Terra works for Slade. Like that, all of those stories were like a very slow, like not slow in that it dragged, but slow enough that new information was revealed slowly enough that it was still engaging.
It was well paced.
While keeping the Teen Titans like grounded and interesting. Like they were still teenagers, and they still had their own like whatever, like, you know, quirky like problems that teenagers have. And Teen Titans Go is like on all the time, and it's very
and I
like
think what that has to do with is just how we consume media. It's a transition over time, right? On-demand media has created things like Teen Titans Go that you can watch in any order, still know what's happening in pretty much every episode, and accept what's happening in pretty much every episode, but it's not, there's no serious continuity and plot, like overarching plot line. It's episodic plots. Because it doesn't matter what order you watch them in. In the same way that like syndicated television, it kind of doesn't matter what order you watch it in. Like going back and watching random episodes of Friends, you kind of know where it is in the overarching theme, but no one really cares. Same with like Seinfeld. Did Seinfeld even have an overarching plot? No, it was Seinfeld.
It's the show about nothing. I mean,
it's the show about nothing. It's episodic at best, and
I don't know. Maybe I'm just like an old person now, but if I'm gonna sit down, like, and this is why like people give me shit for not watching TV, but like if I'm gonna sit down and watch TV, I want there to be a story that I have to pay attention to. I don't want to be able to do 8 million other things while I'm trying to pay attention to this really interesting story. Well, unless I sit down with the intention of, I just want to like drool into the carpet like while I'm watching whatever it is.
And I think there's a lot of that TV out there that people just kind of write off because so many people have that opinion of like, oh, well, TV's bad now. But like,
well, I don't think it's bad now. I've just never been as engaged in. I would say that I've never been as engaged in television as I am in a video game, and that's because, and to me, that's because video games like I have to be doing something. I'm always thinking about what's happening on the screen, and I've watched enough television to the point where I don't even have to think about what happens. It's just like there's just stuff happening all the time. And I'm not saying like TV is bad and video games are better, and I'm not saying people that watch TV are wrong. That's just my personal like how I feel about the two like biggest screen things terms of media.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. And I think the whole aspect of, you know, shows telling stories, it's certainly gotten to a different pace. You know, we've seen that with Teen Titans Go. There's generally no plot or continuity to it really anymore, but we're still seeing stories being told in like more recent shows, but at a slower pace. Like if you do a show like Steven Universe, right?
Steven Universe, yeah, it's a great example.
A lot of early Steven Universe is pretty episodic. You could kind of watch anything out of order. You're still getting to know the characters, but for the most part, you could watch that out of order. But as the show progressed and like Cartoon Network saw, hey, you know, fans actually love this, there was a point to where the show could just really double down on like nothing but story for like the most part as it came to an end. And I think a similar vein probably might even be Gravity Falls.
Yeah.
It became, you know, more story heavy towards the end, where earlier episodes, you know, getting a feel for the characters, but it's kind of episodic.
I mean, that last season of Gravity Falls is just story episode after story episode.
I started watching it, and I definitely agree with the episodic part in the beginning, but I'm not very far in it yet. I think I'm only on episode like 12 or 13.
What I like,
Teen Titans did have the silly episodes though, so like even with the like major like gut punch like story episodes. You had episodes where they fought like the like the screen freak dude,
Oh,
control
Control.
freak,
Yeah.
And the crazy British guy.
Mad Mod.
Mad
Mad
Mod.
Mod, that guy. That was a
Okay.
My
wild episode.
duckies.
Okay. Back to questions. Useless skill.
Useless skill.
That you have, not just in general.
That I'm.
Name a useless skill. No, name your useless skill.
This one's kind of a weird one. I'm a lefty who can do like basic day-to-day things with their right hand, as opposed to the left hand.
Hit me.
So like,
So you're ambidextrous, or
not quite.
Okay.
I'm exactly the same way. I can't do basic day-to-day things with my left hand. Like I can only write, and then I use my right hand for everything else.
Exactly. Like when it comes to sports, I'm like right hand dominant. They're like, "Aren't you a
Yep.
lefty?" I'm like, "Don't worry about it."
But that's gotta come in handy because you play guitar and stuff. That's gotta come in handy for that, right? Like,
I mean, when I first learned guitar, like when I like imagined playing it, I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna strum with my left hand and it's gonna be great." And then my parents got me a guitar. I'm like, "Oh, I strum with my right hand. This is weird." It set my expectations differently.
I can't
wasn't thinking about
whisk with my right hand though. I just can't. I can only whisk with my
What?
left hand.
Exactly.
that's so specific.
Exactly. Like it's very specific things you can do. It's like if you need me to write, using the left hand. Want me to whisk? Left hand. Literally anything else, going right hand all day.
that's weird. I mean,
Okay.
I guess in that same vein, like if I ever need to like relax, drive one-handed, I usually will do my left hand. But everything else, I'm painfully right-handed.
I think that's most people though, because you're always like fucking around with something with your right hand, like your drink or your stereo or your weather.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Okay, final question.
You know what I mean, Jacob? Don't look at me like
Kindred
that.
spirit.
Oh, okay. All right. D&D class and alignment.
D&D class and alignment. Well,
I mean, you play a lot of rogues.
I think I mostly play like spellcasters in all honesty.
Oh, I guess yeah.
But
That's
real
fair.
life like
Yeah, your real
in your
life.
real life. You don't slit
Well,
people's
he-
throats for a living.
he's-
Like
Well, I would classify
The computer
myself
science.
as a wizard. And
I would agree with that. Yeah.
and with that, it's like, wizards probably use their magic for like their day-to-day things. So like, my day job is a software engineer, and I use coding in my day-to-day things. Tech wizard, as one would say.
technomancer.
Tech.
Wouldn't that
Yeah.
be an artificer then?
Well, but so I think with Malik specifically, I think it could be considered artificer, but I think I would agree that Malik is a wizard. Knowing you, you have a lot of knowledge as well, and I think that's a big wizard thing, right? Of just like knowing a lot of information that you can just like run through your mind palace and find quickly.
How it goes.
Yeah. Also, I just want to say Malik is in my bard campaign as well. So he is one of my many bards. He is
Locked a
Bard
barber.
band.
locked a bard burr. Yeah,
Yes.
it's great.
I was just imagining like a court jester in a mind palace, like for when you laugh at like stupid stuff that like crosses your mind.
Ah, yes, my liege. It's very funny. You must save that joke for someone else to laugh at later. No one got it that time. It's too obscure for this crowd.
I haven't told a joke yet, Stuart.
Ah, you'll get there, master. You'll get there.
This is the episode of Brenna's Weird Voices.
Okay, so he's a wizard, but what's his alignment?
I know. What's your alignment?
Probably either is he neutral good?
I would say I don't know if you're chaotic.
No, not chaotic.
Neutral good. Yeah.
Which is a show you could review on your channel as well.
Neutral good.
No, Chaotic.
Yeah.
That was an animated show built to sell a card game.
That's what I thought. I was like, it was like based on like some kind of toy or card game.
Yep.
I
I've
remember
never
that.
heard of this. Yeah. Oh wow. Oh no.
I was like early 2000s.
She
wasn't
blocked it from her memory.
Oh wow. It's by 4Kids. Hey guys, it's Canadian.
Canadian, eh?
It says on
Yeah.
American animated science fantasy television.
It was
It was
has this
animated.
kind-
It's an American show that was
Animated-
animated by a Canadian studio.
And it has like
And it's based
ragdoll
on a
animation.
Danish card
for some
game.
reason.
Oh wow.
Gotta get that
It
time.
had 79 episodes?
That's a weirdly
too
specific number.
That's too many.
If there was a crowd
Okay.
for it.
The art style is so bad.
It's
Oh my
the
God.
worst thing I think. It's one of the worst things I've ever
It
seen.
looks like
That's
shadow
a
puppets
bold
that have
claim.
been painted.
There was a
I
Nintendo DS game by Activision.
yeah.
Chaotic Shadow Warriors.
That was in. Man, I totally forgot this existed.
Holy shit, there was also an Xbox 360 game.
Yeah, I
And
remember
for
watching some of
PS3.
those.
Wow.
Oh my
I have
god.
never heard of this before.
ComicKnightZero for his next episode.
He's like, I'm
Today
not
we're
gonna waste
talking
time on
about-
this garbage.
Chaotic.
I
Yeah,
have
but
so
you-
many garbage
Problem
shows I
Zero.
can give
You watched
though.
Problem Solvers, okay?
I reviewed
You
for it.
should also review Sherlock Holmes in the 22nd Century,
Oh no.
which is a terrible show.
Jacob, stop.
Don't think of it a look. Time.
This isn't like a match made in heaven, it's a match made in hell. Like
Oh my god.
Okay, so moving on.
Moving on,
Now that we
Jacob.
know Malik through and through.
Before we get into the meat of the episode, Jacob's got some weird snacks to review. That I'm actually on board with this time.
Wrap Snacks. They're a brand of snacks that has like various wrappers as the face. Yeah, the face of the snack. With
Inspiration.
the various flavors. So you have like Migos with sour cream with a dab of ranch. And Cardi B for cheddar barbecue. And the cool thing about Wrap Snacks is that they like their proceeds, like part of their proceeds go to like helping kind of like inner city education stuff.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so
I didn't know that.
yeah, so that's like their kind of their goal
bit.
is to promote like ending violence, education, like and entrepreneurship. But I haven't really tried the snacks. Like,
Are they
unfortunately-
chips or are they like crackers?
they're
or-
potato chips.
Okay.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
potato chips. So I don't know if they have other snacks. Like I haven't
do.
gone back since.
I'm googling Wrap Snacks now. Let's just go to the
Yeah.
websites, which is wrapsnacks.net, and it's not a secure website.
I hope their website
Don't
is
worry
better
about it.
than the
I just want to
the
mention
Myers
that.
website because you were so angry about the Myers website.
Dude, the Myers website was bad. No, this website's much better. So we've got cheddar barbecue, Cardi B. Cardi B also has honey drip butter popcorn, which I'm kind of into, and hot cheese habanero popcorn, and jerk
What could be
barbecue
about that?
wavy potato chips, all Cardi B, red hot cheddar potato chips. Okay, now we've got Lil Boozy. Lil Boozy has Louisiana Heat cheese puffs and Louisiana Heat wavy chips. Lil Yachty has hot cheese fries. Migos have barbecuing with my honey with a dab of ranch, and sour cream with a dab of ranch. White cheddar with a dab of ranch. White cheddar with a dab of ranch. Popcorn and cheese puffs.
I sense
Ru-
a theme.
Lil Romeo, now going by Romeo Miller, has barbecuing with my honey chips as well.
They got bigger, so they had to take the little.
Okay. Notorious B.I.G. has the Icon Cookout Barbecue Sauce Chips, the Icon Honey Habanero Chips, and then Slutty Vegan, who's apparently a rapper that I've never heard of. You heard me right.
Okay.
Slutty Vegan.
I got this.
Okay.
Maple barbecue kettle cooked chips and habanero cheddar kettle chips.
This is why I clear my search history. Because I have to search things like this.
Because you have to Google slutty vegan.
So unfortunately, the Notorious B.I.G. barbecue chips have been open for like a while, so they're probably stale. So I'm gonna try and not let that color my perception of them.
Don't let it influence the review.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine some fresh Notorious B.I.G. chips, which they should be called the Notorious BBQ, and I'm still upset about it.
Okay. So it's an Atlanta restaurant brand.
Oh, slutty vegan.
This person's not a rapper.
Okay.
With her plant-based slutty vegan Atlanta restaurant brand, Pinky Cole is the newest and notable to have her likeness grace the packaging of Rap Snacks potato chips, a hip-hop culture inspired snack food company that launched in 1994. They're that old?
Oh, wow.
I saw the first bag of them in like 2000.
I mean, these plant-based burgers look sick. They make, oh my god, they make po' boys, but they call them ho' boys. Wow, they're all like, okay, Dancehall Queen, Side Ho, Hollywood Hooker, Menage a Trois.
Really,
I just imagine going to the restaurant and being like, "Can I get a side ho?"
Sloppy Toppy.
Like what?
They've got their fries are skinny dippers and slutty fries. I mean. The slutty fries are French fries with our signature slut dust. This is insane, and I'm so happy for her.
I don't know whether to be interested or uncomfortable.
I feel like the slut dust came from Tinkerbell.
Okay, we're not going.
It's like a rabbit hole.
No, we're not.
Go down.
Okay, do you know the real, like the original Peter Pan story, not the Disney garbage?
Yes, I'm aware.
Okay,
Yes.
Then
don't talk about my girl like that.
Okay, then Jacob is right.
I know she's right, but that doesn't mean he needs to do her dirty like that. God,
I feel like that's Hot Topic's fault. That's not my fault. For marketing her as like extra sexy.
Okay, opinions. How
they're better than I thought. Like when I tried some of the barbecue ones like a few weeks ago, the Notorious B.I.G. ones, and I was not impressed. But they were better this time around. They're still not like my favorite barbecue chip. The Migos sour cream with the dab of ranch are weird. I don't really know how to place them. Like they don't.
I don't know why you need sour cream and ranch in one. Yeah. I feel like they're two creamy flavors, but.
The cheddar barbecue, the Cardi B cheddar barbecue, are actually really good. They're really sweet for like a chip, but I don't know. I like it.
Are they still salty, or it's just like a sweet chip?
No, it's like a weird sweet chip. I don't know. It's good. I like it.
Okay.
So on your rating scale.
Yeah. Do you want to rate them?
Oh, from like the yum to.
How many uhs do they get?
I feel like they're yum.
They don't really get any.
I mean, you could give them.
I'd give
uhs.
I think I'm gonna give 0 to the Migos. Like just complete middle of the road. Maybe like a 1 yum to the Notorious B.I.G. ones, and I'm gonna give 3 yums to the Cardi B cheddar barbecue.
3 yums to Cardi B.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like them.
I'll have to check them out because I did just see them the other day for the first time. I've seen the Migos ones like for a while. I didn't see the Notorious B.I.G. ones anywhere. Yep.
You can buy variety packs on their website, although most of them are currently out of stock. But you can buy like 6 packs.
Okay, so speaking of Jacob making the loudest crinkling noises possible.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
We have a sponsor this week.
Yes.
Myself before I crinkled this last one.
Sure,
okay, 1 second.
Well, Jacob's gonna hook us up with.
This is good. Oh, okay. Oh, I thought we were gonna get more crinkle ASMR.
Chris Crinkle.
Yes. By the way, hashtag not sponsored by Rap Snacks. I feel like we should say that. Hashtag not sponsored by Rap Snacks.
We are sponsored by the sponsor that Jacob was going to give us.
We're not sponsored by Wrap Snacks, but I guess we're sponsoring Wrap Snacks.
I mean, yeah, I would say so.
I bought their product. I have given them money. It counts.
Yeah,
That's the only way
technically,
sponsorship works. No other way.
Yeah.
You determine their paycheck.
solely you, just Jacob.
Just Jacob.
I'm a business mogul.
Donks.
Okay, but the Dr. Z Show is sponsored this week by Alan Griswold's Hitman Services. If we can't kill them, they're immortal. Oh, also their phone number is 1-800-944-KILL.
Oh.
For all your Hitman needs.
Choose Alan.
Alan Griswold's Alan Griswold's Hired Gunman Services. 1-800-944-KILL.
Okay. You know, in case you ever need them.
Been
Write that
around
down, write that
since
down.
2007.
Yeah, it's if you see it on a billboard, you gotta write it down, take your hands off the wheel.
Do
I've
whatever it takes.
always wondered about that, especially in like states where like there's like laws about not being on your phone or like are you just expect to like look at the billboard and remember that phone number for the rest of your like drive? The rest
I
of
gotta
the
hurry home and write this
destination?
down.
They have people who advertise with their numbers on billboards have like a very narrow audience that they actually get of people who can remember their number.
I feel like they're assuming you have a passenger.
That's a bold assumption.
What if it's for a dating service though? You don't have you're single. You don't have a
Then
passenger.
let's hope that you're divorced and with a kid maybe. So your kid can write that down.
Tommy, write down that number.
Daddy needs a new wife.
Sounds like it comes out of a slot machine.
I hate that. I hate that I said that.
You brought it up.
I apologize for saying that.
This is what you wanted.
It's not.
I never asked for this.
I never asked for this. I am Solid Snake. Okay.
Okay,
that's
hold on,
not
back
Solid
up.
Snake.
You're who? That is not from Metal Gear Solid.
I've never played a Metal Gear Solid game. I literally
Clearly.
I only know about his butt from Smash.
It is not Solid.
And then he can hide in
Jacob, do
boxes.
you know who it is?
I don't remember his name. I know he's the main
Adam
character.
Jensen from Deus Ex Human Revolution.
I don't. Oh, was it you? Malik? Was it you that I played like halfway through Deus Ex?
You might have. I was playing it for a while, a couple
I
years
were
back.
playing it, yeah. I remember
Anyway.
someone played Deus Ex, and I watched them. I also remember 45 minutes of the Final Fantasy loading screen.
Which weirdly enough, we talked about this.
Ian.
We talked about.
Remember when you were like, guys, I'm gonna play the new Final Fantasy game. It's gonna be great. And then I came over, and you were still in the loading screen.
We talked about the remake not too long ago on the show. It's free this month on PlayStation Plus.
Me?
They're giving it away on PlayStation Plus, and I saw that because I get the updates from PlayStation, and I was like, wow. The big yikes.
I mean, it looked great once you got into the game.
That 45-minute loading screen, though.
When do we get to the game? This is the game.
It's Escalator World. Okay, fairly average preferences aside, what are we talking about today, children?
Well, I mean, I thought we said we were going to continue last week's episode.
Yes, but
No one can remember that far back.
We're more focused this time at 35 minutes in.
I know. Well, we didn't spend 45 minutes talking about Silence
of the Lambs.
Oh yeah, you still have to work that part in.
Yeah, we have to get our
We just did.
Yeah, there we go. But yeah, we're going to talk about animation again today, but we're going to focus a little more on like Western animation because we talked a lot about anime I went on. I went on, or like Eastern animation, because I went on my whole rant last episode, and I don't regret anything I said.
I got some comments about that, and people were like, "Is Brenna just like, does she need a hug?"
Generally,
And I was
actually,
like, "Wow!" I was like,
I
"That's
don't enjoy physical contact.
Sounds like she needs more anime.
No. No. We do have
She
friends
needs a
who
body pillow. There we
have
go.
friends who've told
She
me
gets to
that.
choose when the physical intimacy is there.
So you do realize that we have in our large friend group from Kentucky, we have a friend with both a waifu and a husbandu pillow. Two
As-
separate friends with a waifu and a husbandu.
As one can expect.
As one can expect.
is that the
What
male
is it?
version of a waifu?"
Yes, it is.
Out of all the
Husbando.
words they could have made up,
Husbando.
that was the one they went with.
Yeah.
It sounds too much like panda for me.
What's on the husbandu pillow? And I don't remember what, because didn't we get a waifu, an actual waifu case?
Shia LaBeouf.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
It
one has
reminds me-
Todoroki from My Hero.
Oh, that's the
word,
husbandu. Is
the
Todoroki.
word reminds me of the word husbandry, which then I think about the word bando, which reminds me of the word bandit. So I just imagine like a bandit
Cowboys?
horse.
Okay.
So that's where my
Not
train of thought
cowboys,
went. As
the
soon as you said
logical jump.
husbando, I was like, what?
Or husbanjo, like Banjo Kazooie, where you
Jacob,
have like
no,
a bear farm.
leave the Banjo Kazooie, leave it alone. Leave it in the past.
Leave Banjo-Kazooie alone.
No, one of the worst jokes ever made on the show was about Banjo Kazooie, and it was
I don't-
not last
I don't
episode, but
recall
it was
this.
2 episodes ago.
I don't recall. But Malik
You
is here
made it.
because he has a YouTube channel called ComicKnightZero where he covers animated shows and reviews them.
Yeah.
So he is
Mhm.
our resident
enough
expert today.
Yeah. He has the most expertise out of all of us.
He has his
That's
twice
a low
the
bar, bro.
efficiency modifier.
That's a really low bar.
Look, I never said it was a high bar. I'm just saying
There's a bar.
there's a bar. Is there not? We're all at the bar together.
I'm drinking milk.
Yes. Okay, so first off, and I feel like we should talk about. I feel like before we start talking about this, I also just kind of want to ask, like,
Was that an IT crowd reference, Jacob? I'm sorry, Brenna.
Wait, what?
You're only
said you're
30
drinking
seconds late
milk.
to the joke.
No, it's just I just don't drink alcohol. That's why.
Right, I know, but milk. Okay, never mind. Never mind.
No, it was not an IT crowd reference.
There
The only
is
IT crowd reference I know is have you tried turning off and turning on again?
That's not an IT crowd reference. That's just an IT reference in general.
I was
Yeah,
like,
but they,
is that
in
where
the
that
first
came from?
episode, which is the only episode I've seen, that's like the only thing they say.
It is the only thing they say. It's great. Watch IT Crowd. Not what we're here to talk about. But I guess something we didn't mention before, but I feel like we should talk about Malik. What was your first experience with animation, and what got you so into it? Because we all talked about that for us last episode. So I feel like now that you're a part of our conversation, let's all share with the world.
Okay. I think first experience with animation. The earliest thing I can draw back to is Iron Giant, partly because
Wow. Okay.
there was one random occasion where Cartoon Network did a 24-hour marathon of the Iron Giant.
Oh my god, I remember that.
I do
Yeah.
too, actually.
And I was like, okay, I guess I know what I'm watching today, because I think I was mostly like a Cartoon Network kid growing up. The only thing I really went to Nickelodeon for at the time was like SpongeBob and Fairly Odd Parents. But I think that's the earliest piece I can remember.
Wow. Okay.
Oh my god. So it was July 2nd, 2002.
Okay. I'm
And
really
they-
glad I know you're looking that up on the internet and you don't just have that memory stored.
And then they aired it again November 28th, 2003. Fun fact. Continue.
I have a VHS.
Yeah.
Giant. Vin Diesel is the voice of the Iron Giant. Very weird, but
That he
once
is.
you know that, you can't unknow that.
But like he does that shit all the time. He's the voice of Groot.
I knew that too, actually.
Did you know that he individually shot every line? Like he recorded every line of I Am Groot differently.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you'd have to in that case.
I am Groot.
I think stemming from that,
Aha,
think my-
stemming, because he's a plant. Aha.
Yeah, photosynthesis.
Jake, why?
This is the show.
This is it. Welcome. Welcome.
But I think stemming from that, I think like my further pursuit, or at least why my interest grew more, is partly from this kid's book, Captain Underpants. You may or may not have read it
Okay.
in elementary school, but the characters in there, you know, for those who aren't familiar, they drew their own comics, and that kind of inspired me to start drawing my own comics, which got me interested in drawing in general, and that eventually evolved into animation.
And it's also how you got your screen name, I'm assuming.
Actually, no.
Really?
So that's more or less like me trying out a combination of different names,
Mm-hmm.
either going by Comic Knight or KnightZero. But once I realized that like neither of those two names were unique, I was like, well, what if I just combine the two?
Okay. Oh, that's fair.
That's fair. Yeah.
Muppet War.
And Comic Knight was
Dogman
just like-
is the latest and greatest craze from the author of the Captain Underpants books. We got
How
the
did you
kids, the Dogman collection.
Did
For
he make
Christmas?
the Ricky and his Giant Robot
Cool.
series as well?
Oh yeah. It's like Ricky Ricotta,
Ricky
Yeah,
Ricardo.
Ricky
Giant Robot, little
Mhm.
mouse kid.
Oh, that's definitely not the right thing. Apparently, Dogman was a 2008 Italian crime drama as well.
No, this is about
You've
a
been getting
police.
books of those.
This is about a police officer that crosses with a dog.
Aha, there it is. Yeah, Dogman is a comedic graphic novel by Dav
Dave
Pilkey.
Pilkey?
Dav Pilkey? I don't know.
I said
I
Dave.
think it's Dave.
Dave? Debbie.
Oh, he also wrote The Dumb Bunnies.
What?
Yeah.
And Super Diaper Baby.
I remember Super Diaper Baby, unfortunately.
Dragon.
Dragon.
Well, there's like a friend for Dragon, Dragon's fat cat, Dragon gets by. I wonder if this other one's about capitalism.
There's a lot
Yeah,
happening
Ricky
here.
Ricotta and the Mighty Robot
Yeah.
are from
Yeah.
Dave.
Pilkey.
What is this name that is so hard to pronounce?
Because we don't know
It's
if we're saying it
Pilkey.
right.
It's Pilkey. It's
There's also
Piokey.
Big Dog and Little Dog.
Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. I didn't know he was so.
Yeah, it could be Dave or Dav Pilkey.
I think it's Dave.
I've always called him Dave, but I was illiterate back then. I still am now, too.
Okay, yeah, no, it's Dave. David Murray Pilkey Jr. is his full
Murray.
Okay.
name. Murray.
Definitely.
A-Y.
But
Oh
still,
no!
Most people pronounce that Murray.
It's happening again.
Never mind. You know what? We'll move on. We're just gonna move on. Let's actually no, we're moving on.
Well,
That's
this is connected because there was a Captain Underpants movie that they made.
I watched
Yeah.
that.
I never watched that. I also never read Captain Underpants, but all of my friends read Captain Underpants because I
did, I think.
I feel like Captain Underpants was really heavily marketed towards like assigned male at birth
It's Dave.
children.
The Guardian interviewed him, and he says it's Dave.
Okay. But I feel like it was really
You heard it
heavily
here, folks.
heavily advertised towards like boys and assigned boys at birth, and As a female, like, they never appealed. I never read them, and whenever my like friends showed me like, dude, this is so funny, I was always like, I don't think these jokes are funny.
You talked about something last episode that you never watched because it was marketed.
I've talked about a lot of things that I never watched as a kid.
I mean, I'm thinking specifically last episode. There was something. It was a show like on Nickelodeon or something. I think.
Was it?
I don't remember. Whatever.
I don't remember either.
Please watch last episode because I spent 2 weeks editing the like counter. God, never let me do that again.
That was commitment
I will
there.
say,
It was awful. Like by
to
500, I was
count.
like, I hate it. Okay, Brenna, what?
You used every instance of like, but some
Correct.
of those were actually contextually accurate uses of like.
I knew you were gonna pick up on that. I knew that you were gonna give me shit about it. I thought about it while I was doing it, and I was like, Brenna's gonna give me shit about using it in
grammatically accurate instances of like.
Grammatically accurate instances. I knew it. I knew it. I was like, Brenna's gonna give me shit about that, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And here you are, giving me shit about it.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Several of those instances, I wouldn't say it would cut back. I know, I'm aware.
Well, I remember the reason I did it was because I said like probably about 4 or 5 times in a row at one point talking about talking about Silence of the Lambs.
Strong presence in the like counter.
Correct, and I remembered a few episodes ago, it was some point before we recorded, or maybe it was on air, or maybe it was after we recorded. I think it was while we were off air. Jacob saying that we were using the word like, and there was one other one to just like fill dead air.
Hippogriff.
But
Yep, definitely hippogriff.
Yeah, that's the word, Jacob.
That's my go-to.
But we needed to or we should have cut back on the use of those words because they're unnecessary. So after I said it 4 times in a row, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. And now that I've done it, I'm never going to do it again because it was horrible.
I'm just saying something looks like something is not a crutch use of the word like. And saying I was like is also not a crutch use of the word like because you are implying the statement you were projecting forward. That's all I'm saying.
I'm aware of that.
I know. Then you should have taken it into account when you were doing your counter.
Well, he would have, but I don't know,
But you just chose not to, knowing that I would mention it and give you shit for it. Anyway.
On to what actually... Captain Underpants.
I didn't read Captain Underpants.
That's what we've gleaned from this conversation.
That's what we gleaned. I was too busy reading other things.
Playing Tetris.
No, I didn't play Tetris. But Tetris was a later thing in my life. Tetris didn't come to me till I was 13 or 14. No,
then she was an anime protagonist.
Magical schoolgirl.
God, I wish I were.
Tetris transformation.
Do you know how badly I wanted to be a Totally Spy? Do you know how badly I wanted that for my life?
I don't know, but I can imagine.
I wanted to be Sam so badly. I thought she was the coolest person in the world. Because she was smart, she was redheaded, she was fierce, she was punny, she was...
Okay. So Brenna's gonna give me shit right now.
Uh-huh.
But Totally Spies was a good show. Okay? But
here we go.
All of the beginning bits before they are in their spy costumes, whatever, and they're doing spy shit. All of the beginning bits where they're just these
being high schoolers?
Yeah. Are so irritating.
Yeah,
They're
they
so
are.
irritating, and
They
their
are.
their personalities shift so wildly when they're like in spy,
No,
whatever
they didn't
mode.
know how to write actual teenage high school girls.
Who was the writer? You said he, like I should know who it
I
was.
said, I said they.
Oh.
I said they didn't know.
This one guy wrote all of Totally
Well,
Spies.
I
No, I
am-
wouldn't be surprised
It's all-
if it. Oh God, it's
Guys,
Canadian French
it's
animated
Canadian.
series.
Yep.
It's like it's definitely Canadian.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was Joss Whedon. Honestly, like
Honestly,
that's how poorly.
It was. It wasn't.
Oh, I thought you said it was, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. The important thing though about Totally Spies is that
David
in
Michael
one of the later
Vincent
seasons they
Chevallon.
changed the voice actresses, and it's very obvious, and it sucks.
Yeah. Oh, they changed them for Alex and Jerry. So
That's how
Jennifer,
it goes. I'm retarded.
Sam, and Clover were the same, but Alex and Jerry changed, and it was a jarring change.
They made 156 episodes.
Yeah, man, and most of those were horrible awakenings for people.
Jerry is considered a recurring character, but not a main character.
Oh, he's in every episode.
It says
That's what's
recurring.
I know, but same with like a Mandy. Mandy's in almost every episode.
And that's why she's recurring.
Gladys.
Were they wrong?
She was unpopular
So-
with fans of the show and was written out of the series early in the 5th season, almost entirely due to fan complaints.
Ow.
If you bitch enough,
By the time
things can change. That's what we've learned today here on the Dr. Z show.
I
by the time they
remember-
get season 5.
So this reminds me of, this wasn't a complaint, but just companies reacting to like fans. I sent a letter to Hasbro about ideas I had for Metabots, and they sent me a letter back that was like, "Thank you, Jacob, for like your input. Like we keep
Your
on
idea
keeping
is
on."
bad and you should feel bad.
Oh my god. Have I
That's so on brand for you, Jacob.
did I tell the story about the time my cousin drunk emailed Judy Bloom?
Yes. Not on
feel
the
like-
show, but yes.
Yeah. One of my cousins was like drunk when he was about, I don't know, he was probably 23, 24. And he was,
Hoovering those rap snacks up.
I know,
Good.
just destroying the rap snacks. He was wondering what Judy Bloom was up to, and he drunk emailed Judy Bloom.
What you
Saying-
doing?
Like, no, like, you were a huge, important part of my life. I really enjoyed reading your books. I hope you're doing well. And she wrote back.
What, actually?
She wrote back.
As long as he wasn't blackout drunk and then was like, why do I have an email from Judy Bloom?
What did I do? And the letter back was like, it's very kind of you to still be a fan of my work.
Oh my god.
That was great. It's a great story. Anyway, back on topic.
Totally Spies is an animated show. That's on
Totally
top.
Spies animated. Okay, so let's start from square one. Does art style matter when it comes to animation? Does bad animation take away from a good show? Does a bad show get saved with good animation?
It depends on if the show is about writing or if it's about not writing.
I mean, that's
Like,
that's the
it depends
thing.
on if the show is telling a story, I think.
Mm.
Shouldn't all shows tell a story?
Not necessarily. Like, there are shows that are just about random bullshit.
Teen
We
Titans
talked
Go.
last. I mean, we talked.
Titans Go.
Yeah, but we talked last episode about like Cow and Chicken, and
Yes, yeah.
I don't know. I don't really have as much experience with the show, but like, did Mega XLR have like a, was there like a thematic?
Yeah, there was a
Like,
lot.
this is what you take away from the show. Well, did it like teach you a lesson? Because I remember like episodes about like
Oh,
Fairly
no.
Odd Parents, there was like this underlying sort of current of like, this is why you don't lie to your parents, and this is why you're responsible.
There
about
was a
money,
moral
this
to
is-
the story.
Yeah, there's like a moral.
Mm.
No, there were no morals in that show. They had like the like
No,
leaning back.
zero.
They had like the leaning back babe decals like on the bottom of their giant robot. Like
It's like in the song they say like chicks dig giant robots. I don't know if there's any morals you're aiming to teach there.
I think the only moral that like might have been taught in Megas XLR was that Coop and Jamie maybe learn to not like devalue women after spending all the time with
Maybe.
Kira, I think is her name.
It's ambiguous.
Oh no. Oh boy. Yeah, I don't know. I think
Yeah, this is telling. I searched Megas XLR morals, and the Google said, "Do you mean Megas XLR morale?" So that's telling.
so in terms of that, I think I don't know. I never enjoyed a lot of those shows that didn't have at least some kind
Kiva's
of
her name.
Oh, okay. I didn't enjoy a lot of those shows that didn't have some kind of at least episodic plot. I like Invader Zim, Cow and Chicken, stuff like that. I never enjoyed those shows. The closest I got was Cat Dog, but Cat Dog still had episodic plots, even if they were
When you say
dumb.
episodic, you mean there's a plot in the episode, or there's a plot that continues?
I'm saying the episode itself has a plot.
Well, I mean, Invader Zim has plot.
Okay, hold on a second.
It does, but I
This
just
is
I think it's stories in
Hold on a
general at this point.
according to the size chart. The Megas XLR robot is more than 2.5 times the size of the Iron Giant.
So it's more like Pacific Rim
Okay.
sized.
There's actually funny that you mentioned that because a
Of course.
related article is a death battle between Megas XLR and Gypsy Danger from Pacific Rim.
Of course. That makes sense to me. That nerds on the internet would argue about these things.
But let's all answer the question.
As nerds on the internet.
So in terms of does art style matter, I think art style isn't the only thing you should tie into a show, at least in terms of, an animated show, because if you want an example of a show with like, I'd say either terrible art style, terrible animation, but like great writing, I'd probably go with Chowder and or Flapjack.
Yeah.
Both shows I really
Terrible
enjoyed,
art
but
styles.
they're ugly AF.
I can it ruined it for me. I could not watch. I tried to watch Flapjack for a while. Chowder was too weird and insane for me, but Flapjack I did try. And I could never get on board with how awful those backgrounds were. Specifically the foregrounds really upset me.
And we talked last time about the Star Wars micro series.
Yeah. Clone Wars
And how like a lot of people
atrocious.
really hated the Clone Wars art style, but in
I'm
the
strong
micro series
chins.
of the micro series specifically. But the writing in that was fantastic. Especially
Yeah.
for like extended universe Star Wars writing, which is very hit or miss. And now like 99% of the time it's missed,
Yeah.
but that's a personal point.
I know a lot of people who refuse to watch. Granted, we're talking about Western animation, but I know a
Right.
lot of people who refuse to watch anime because they just don't like how it looks, and so they just write off all anime because it looks. Some of it looks
I
like
was that way for a
pretty
really
similar.
long time. I was that way for a long time because up until then I had seen Dragon Ball Z, which sure I enjoyed it, but weird art. And then my friends would try to show me other weird animes that I wasn't into because the art style was awful, and I hated the cutaways to like the big eye, like what, like reaction shots. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like
Right.
the appropriation is
like
not
it
the
was
right
nothing.
word.
Yeah, that hit it nothing. The Yu-Gi-Oh style.
Trying to think
Or
of
maybe like triple takes.
Not
Triple takes, yeah.
not exploitation. That's also the wrong word. I'm thinking like I explained why I enjoy some anime to someone at some point, and they were like, "Oh, I never want to watch anime because it's because of the vastly wrong, I think was the word, proportions that people have, and no one's like tits are that big." And I'm like, that's not all anime though.
That's not
like
even,
what
yeah.
that's like what mainstream media hyper focuses on when they're like, oh, this is why little Jimmy is
But there's so
I
much.
need to
this
see
is what-
proportionate bodies, like in
Yeah.
Justice, where all the men are Doritos.
Well, it's more of the.
Well, that's what they like hyper focus on when they're like, this is the problem with anime. It's like, no, that's the problem with that show, and that's why that show is
But
weird.
you don't realize how often writers boobily boob around any female character they have until you actually point them out and give an example.
It's
sorry,
definitely
they
a common
do
trope.
what?
They boobily boob. Oh God, have you never been on the men writing women subreddit?
Oh, I have. Yeah.
I have a little bit.
The men writing women subreddit is the best examples of the worst examples.
But it's just Joss Whedon's internal monologue.
No, it's more than Joss Whedon. Joss Whedon is just one of the most famous proprietors of it, but it's
No, I know, but that's how I feel.
Brandon
that's where I feel
Sanderson's
like
kind of bad at it.
Oh
you
no,
know?
okay, yeah.
George R.R. Martin has some really bad examples. Anime is really bad about that, and I mean, look, I'll never forget how awful Age of Ultron was because they ruined. They somehow made Black Widow's story tragic for the wrong reasons.
Oh, you said Age of Ultron, Avengers,
It is Age
and
of Ultron.
okay, for some reason I heard you say Voltron, and I was like,
Exactly.
how on
I
earth
was
is that
thinking- I
related?
was like, Voltron, wait, what? Black Widow? Voltron?
What are you talking about?
But in Age of Ultron, where they tell her story and then she's sad for the wrong reasons, not for the fact that she was abused and for the fact that her whole life had been built up to one moment and then that moment was stripped away from her. No, she's sad because her uterus was ripped out and she can't have babies and make Bruce happy.
Because she's also a monster for that reason.
Monster because she's not.
Yeah.
That
that's
entire
pretty bad.
scene of them in Hawkeye's house is completely unnecessary and adds nothing to the plot.
It
Completely unnecessary,
could
adds
have been
nothing.
written- It could have been if it had been written better. This is not what we're talking about. It goes in with the boobily boobing
Thank
around thing. Jacob.
Okay, so follow-up questions.
Put your
What
hand
is the ugliest show that you have enjoyed? Ugliest animated show that you've enjoyed, or movie? And then what is what's the worst written, but beautiful piece of media you've consumed?
That's a harder one.
I mean, Code Lyoko is really ugly, but I did enjoy it for how terribly it's written. It's one of those room style. It's so funny. It's bad. It's so bad that it's funny, kind of things for me. Yeah, but I don't know if that's my answer.
Ugly, but great writing.
Amazing World of Gumball, I think, might be my answer.
Ooh, Gumball's bad. Gumball's
For
ugly.
which? For ugliest, but
For ugly, it's kind of
It's
it's
jarring.
ugly for a lot of reasons.
It's really jarring animation.
But it's pretty funny. There are some good moments in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite animated shows, just mostly for its comedy and stuff. I think
I'm struggling with.
I never viewed it as ugly. I think because I enjoyed the mixed media aspects of it, where you have 2D characters living in a 3D house. Some characters are claymated, others are live action. I'm just this is cool.
I think it's really interesting.
It's that
but
asymmetry that I think is like
it
a lot.
emphasizes the writing and how interesting it is. I don't know, but it is kind of jarring. I think Angry Beavers is really poorly animated now that I'm looking back on it, but I love it. I really love it.
Was it like Two Angry Beavers or whatever was the name of the show?
No, just the Angry Beavers.
It was called just Angry Beavers.
It's
Yeah.
Angry Beavers.
The Angry Beavers. God.
I don't know. You're gonna have to come back to me on that one.
Wow.
Shit, that's hard.
Yeah,
I
Angry
think-
Beavers is atrocious.
I can
This
think
doesn't
of
quite fit in.
games that I enjoyed that had terrible art, but I don't.
There's also, I've been thinking, because we were talking about like, does story matter, or like, how does story matter in animation? I've been thinking about Fantasia and Fantasia 2000. How like
Oh.
there's no words,
Mm-hmm.
but there is a story.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes writing is more than sometimes writing is more of a choreography thing, right? It's panel design and storyboarding that
Mhm.
still tells a story, and this is why this is why I love dance and theater so much too, because you can tell a lot based on subtle details in a movement. And
Picture's worth 1,000 words.
Exactly, and I think Fantasia does a really good job of it, of telling a really beautiful story with subtle. I mean, I have vivid memories of watching the Fantasia VHS over and over and over again. Yes, because of the Sorcerer's Apprentice, but also because of the flowers and the lake, the flowers in the river. I don't remember which piece that was, but the like.
Oh yeah.
Where they would the petals would fall into the river and they would turn into dancing like fairies.
When Satan pops out of the mountain, though, I mean, that's pretty great.
It's sick. No, don't get me wrong. I don't know. I think about that a lot.
Okay, I have my answer.
What is your answer?
I'm gonna get shit for this, but Rick and Morty.
It is really ugly.
I could see it.
It's so ugly, but
it's intentionally ugly.
I think so. I don't know that for sure, but I cannot think of a single Rick and Morty episode that I have not actually laughed out loud at some point.
Really?
Yeah.
Man.
It's just that kind of humor in that show just appeals to me but it's like on a visceral level. It's something I'll like watch at 2:00 in the morning. Like I wouldn't like sit down on a Saturday in the afternoon and be like, all right, cool, I'm gonna watch Rick and Morty now. Like it's like I don't know, it reminds me of like early 90s teenagers watching like Beavis and Butthead. Like you didn't watch it because it told an amazing tale of like whatever, of adventure and friendship. You watched it because you were stoned out of your mind at 3:00 in the afternoon and like had nothing like you couldn't focus on anything else.
Squidbillies is my answer. Sorry, Squidbillies is the ugliest and most poorly written show, and it's infuriating.
I was like, yeah, now you're just talking about terrible shows. Yeah, that show's atrocious.
Squidbillies was one of those shows where I was dating a guy at the time, and he would just get high, and he'd either watch Trailer Park Boys or Squidbillies. And I never laughed at the show except for the creation myth. If you have time, it's a 15-minute clip on YouTube, I'm pretty sure. But the Squidbillies creation myth is the dumbest thing. It actually utilizes the art style well, and it.
Okay, so my only reference of the word Squidbillies was I know this guy who built a cephalid deck in Magic and called it Squidbillies, and I thought he had just like come up with that name but for some reason, like in the recesses of the back of my mind, my remembering that the show existed is just like flooding back. I never watched it, but I'm looking at the Google image search of it right now,
I mean, you're a better person for it.
and it's familiar, but I never watched this show. I have something better though than Rick and Morty. Maybe not better, but I have another a different one though.
Yeah.
Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Ooh.
The animation of that show is ugly as sin. It's so fucking ugly.
It's very bare bones too.
Yeah, but it's and it has episodes that are like very hit or miss. Some episodes are hilarious, and other episodes are just really dull. But
And that show went on for like ever.
yeah, it had a lot of seasons,
For no reason.
and there was a movie. 11
don't-
seasons. Yeah.
I don't know a single
Wow.
person who was like talking about Aqua Teen Hunger Force yet. That show just kept going.
Yeah, no, I don't know if I've ever watched an actual. I don't know if I've watched an entire episode of Aqua Teen Hunger Force. I don't think I have.
I think.
And
Also, we want to talk about like going back to what we were talking about before about like opening themes. The Aqua Teen Hunger Force opening theme is a fucking banger. You cannot convince me otherwise.
I don't know if I've listened.
The theme
to it
song
ever.
is fire.
Now I have to listen to the Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
It was canceled in 2015, so it went on for 15 years.
Let's see. I think my answer for the question is home movies.
Yeah, I
Is what?
love home movies.
Home movies with its Microsoft Paint art style.
That is I love that show. Oh man.
I enjoyed it so much, mostly because like a lot of it was just improv, and like I don't know, it just made the show for me. I didn't care how bad it looked. I didn't care how lazy
forgot
it
about
felt.
this show.
That show's so good.
I forgot about this show. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
I've never heard of or seen this. The fuck?
One of my sisters owns the whole series on DVD.
Oh man.
So I used to watch this because I would watch Captain Planet that came on super late at night on Cartoon Network.
Mm.
Old Captain Planet reruns, and around the same time as the old Captain Planet reruns, they used to play home movies. Oh, weird.
Loren Bouchard, who watched or who was one of the creators of the show,
Yeah.
ended up creating Bob's Burgers.
That he did. And Central
yeah.
Park, I believe. Or Central Park. Central Park.
And then Brandon Small created Metalocalypse.
Metalocalypse, yeah.
I do cocaine. That's the only thing that's ever stuck with me from Metalocalypse. It was a terrible show. But the cocaine episode is very funny.
I wondered sometimes if Metalocalypse was like rotoscoped.
Mark
So-
Hamill is a voice of several characters in Metalocalypse, because of course he is.
It's Mark Hamill.
Because he's in everything.
Him and Tim Curry have the longest, most extensive voice acting careers that just don't make sense. Like,
Of course, he was the Hobgoblin in the 1990s Spider-Man animated series. I had no idea that exists. Or
so,
not that exists, but that he did that.
He was-
so
I think he was in Problem Solvers too.
he was
He
in
was
Problem
Solomon
Solvers?
Grundy in Justice
Pretty
League
sure
and
he was in
Justice League
Problem Solvers.
Unlimited.
Yeah, Mark Hamill's in Problem Solvers, because I remember watching your episode, doing a lot of research about Problem Solvers, and being upset that Mark Hamill was involved. Because isn't he the voice of? I think he's the voice of the cat too, like the sheriff.
That's John DiMaggio, actually. Or
Okay.
He's also
Did, like,
Chucky
Bender and
in the
Jake
new
the Dog.
Child's Play remake.
Yeah. Well, okay. Just because I want this fact into the world, going back to Tim Curry for a second. When I went to go see Rocky Horror the second time, I think it was Halloween. So all of the main people were dressed up as different Tim Curry characters. And
It's very specific.
the opening monologue for the lips is a striptease, correct? I
Right.
want you to imagine Nigel Thornberry performing a striptease.
I'm sorry, Tim Curry voiced Nigel Thornberry?
Yes, he did.
Why does that make so much fucking sense?
I know, right? Yeah. No, I'll never forget. And the prosthetic that they'd done was really good. It had the full jowls and the big mustache and everything. So from face up, it was Nigel Thornberry. From neck down, started Nigel Thornberry, slowly just became woman. It was interesting. Very funny. Well done. I'll never forget it, and I want everyone to imagine it.
Project it out into the world. Have like the
I feel
bat
like Tim
signal,
Curry
but
would
it's
be
just that.
proud. Yeah.
Or the Professor Xavier. Wolverine, bring me a cheese pizza.
So Mark Hamill is Buddy Huxton, Bad Cat. And
Yeah.
Bad Cat in Problem Solvers.
I honestly, I can't. Oh, actually, one. This isn't Western animation though, so it's unfortunate. I don't have a good one because like most shows that I've watched fully, I feel like I've watched because they were a good show, like holistically, like not just because I liked the animation style. So, but for a
The
show
one
that was
you
like
watched.
really pretty but had a bad plot, Penguin Highway is an anime movie, and it's not good. Like,
I have a better one for you.
Wow. Penguin Highway.
it's not
Oh,
good.
it looks so cute.
Yeah,
Clerks, the animated
it's really
series.
pretty, but it's not good.
Clerks, the animated series.
Oh, yeah.
Why does this look like a Studio Ghibli film?
It's the style. It's just that style.
Yeah. It's based on a sci-fi novel. Interesting.
Yeah. So, should we move on to our next
Yeah, let's
major
move on.
Sure.
I can't think of a good of a
Penguin
well
Highway
animated show that
Gonna
I enjoy.
become a weird rabbit hole.
Yeah,
for
like
me.
not from the West. I've seen like anime I've hated with like
Yeah.
great art, but just like I was not feeling the plot.
I will say that was what was so frustrating about Is It a Good Idea to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon was that it was technically a well drawn anime and it was well done. It just talk about
Even the
boobily
title
boobing.
gives it away as what kind of show it's gonna become.
Yeah, talk about boobily boobing.
I think your expectations already set.
Mannequin!
So why does Western animation have so many different styles?
Toys.
I
The different ways
don't-
that you can create toys. It's the same reason Pokemon still exists, is because of like the same reason the Pokemon television show exists, is because like you can make toys forever. Like
Pokemon isn't really even Western, is it?
no, I'm just saying. That's just an example.
But
Like
Well,
Western animation,
but
think
you
about
also
like,
don't see
like,
a lot of.
go to like Walmart or Target or
I think
somewhere
it's
that sells toys and just look at all of the toys that are related to an animated television show that now exists.
But I'm thinking long term, and there weren't a lot of Fairly Odd Parents toys. There weren't a lot of Cartoon Network toys. There weren't a lot of like Samurai Jack things. Like I'm just thinking about like the larger scale of Western animation and what it provided from the toy spectrum, and it didn't provide a lot.
Okay, well,
I think
first of all, Samurai Jack, the Samurai Jack comparison doesn't work because Samurai Jack was masterfully designed, written, and animated television show.
But my point is that if it was such a smash hit, widely known, popular TV show, why didn't we have more toys of it under your logic?
I'm not saying only toys, but that's the first thing that comes to mind for me to answer Jacob's question.
I just looked up what the first animated TV show was, and apparently it's Crusader, like Western animated TV show was apparently Crusader Rabbit. Never really heard of it. Progress.
Say thank you. Rude.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was too excited.
Crusader Rabbit?
But it was like made in the same era as like the Flintstones and other things like that. So I was thinking that maybe part of it, I was thinking like some of those early shows, like Johnny Quest and other things. I feel like they have kind of a similar animation style, like the Hanna-Barbera cartoons, like the way that they draw people and other things, like all very similar. But then when do you get away from that? I mean, even then, like Flintstones is very different from Johnny Quest in terms of like modeling. But like, I feel like Western animation has just exploded out into like anything goes.
Even the difference between Hanna-Barbera cartoons and Walt Disney cartoons is vastly different. And I think
even the difference between Disney cartoons and Disney and Pixar cartoons.
I don't think toys is a reason. I think it's the capitalistic idea of like I need to stand out. I think it needs to be different. If it's different and if it's new, it's going to be interesting in some ways. And I think, I don't know, from I don't know.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I think that's a big driving factor. I don't think it's the factor, but I think it's a big driving factor of like, if it's new and unique, let's try it.
And that might be the problem and why we get so many shows that like suddenly appear on like Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon or Disney or whatever. They appear for like 1 season or 1.5 seasons or 2 seasons, and then they just disappear. Is like, you can't just have the like shock value of new and interesting, and then everybody watches it and everybody suddenly collectively realizes, oh wait, this show is garbage, and stops watching it, and then it disappears.
Yeah.
I think the general premise comes from the idea of just crafting character designs. Because, if you've ever tried just drawing any Western cartoon, you'll realize there's a variety of shapes that are used to draw them. Like a more recent show like The Loud House. Main character Lincoln Loud has a very circular head. He has those like tubular shapes to him. Whereas you go to something like Fairly Odd Parents, Timmy has
triangular.
Yeah, like Timmy's very triangular. Like a lot of the characters are there.
And then I mean, even thinking like Proud Family is all very rectangular. Proud Family's so rectangular versus same era. Like, I know the whole show wasn't animated, but the Lizzie McGuire sprite, she was super like round and triangular and sketchy and weird.
Yeah, and so I think it's a character design that more or less helps reflect of what their personality's like. Like in the movie Up, we know the old man Carl, he has like a very box shape to him. Yeah. But if you look at his wife Ellie, she's very circular. And like the character designers and animators did that on purpose to show that Ellie was more well-rounded, more spirited, while Carl was more boxed in and kind of stern.
Yeah. For sure. And I that's what and you can see that too. Pixar's really good at that, especially where they come up with storytelling elements that aren't just the words characters are saying. Inside Out is another great example of that, where looking at joy versus sadness versus anger and envy and stuff, aside from the colors that are generally associated with them, joy was very like flowy and circular and round.
Anger's very square.
Yeah, anger was a box, and envy was very snooty and uptight in all of her actions, and in all of her facial features were very kind of angular. And sadness was just like waves. Her design very much had that watery
Also,
kind of.
basically a liquid, yeah.
Yeah, she looked very liquid, and I think it's Pixar especially is very good. Toy Story, God, they gave those toys life, but still kept their like toy aesthetics. Whenever Woody walks, it's very flopsy and flimsy because he's got polyfill legs.
Mm-hmm. He's
It's
originally supposed to be
great.
a ventriloquist dummy.
But
Oh,
they
yeah.
also make it so that he can walk that way to show that he's a toy, but he also walks exactly that way because he's not only is he a toy, but he's like a cowboy toy.
Yeah.
So he still has the like, like thumbs in his belt buckle, like kind of just like
No,
I don't know,
and
cowboy
I think,
walk, for lack of a better term.
yeah, I think I think Malik, you're right. The character design really allows for more creativity, and Western audiences don't mind weird aesthetics for an interesting character design.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's been proven time and time again. I mean,
I'm
like
curious
yeah,
how much money like played into it, because I was reading about Metalocalypse, and in interviews they had talked about how they wanted to make a show like just as cheaply as possible. Like they were like,
that
we want
makes
to spend
sense.
like under like
South Park.
$110,000 like an
South Park.
episode or something like that to like produce it. And I was thinking like, it takes a lot of work to animate something, and so the simpler the character designs you can get, or like the more like they can stand out from each other in this whole thing of having different shapes of characters. Whereas I feel like in a lot of anime, like, not everyone's the same, like, and everything, the different like costumes, whatever. But I feel like between Eastern and Western animation, I feel like maybe Western animation was like influenced more by like, how can we quickly produce this in a way that like is like iconic, and like who has the passion for their personal characters that they're pitching, like to develop and like produce this stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas, I don't know, I don't know what it, in my mind there's a little bit of a homogenization, and I don't know what the like cultural or financial motivation for that is in anime, to not like, people definitely like Eastern animation artists, they have their own styles, like, for sure, but you can tell it's all anime, I guess.
But that even happens. And to kind of ready for generalization, that's just an observation I'm making. Eastern animation really falls in line too with like K-pop and J-pop groups as well. I'll just throw that out there. This is a weird thing, but you were talking about the homogenization. If you pull random cells from different animes, they're gonna look really similar. And if you pull different songs from different Asian pop groups, they sound pretty similar. But if you pull a lot of pop music from even today, from Western styles, it's not quite as similar. There's a lot of similarities still, and I think when it comes to writing, they're very similar. But when you go to aesthetics, when you go to all of that, it really varies. So pulling jokes from shows like Adventure Time, or Loud
House.
Loud House. I always want to say Loud Family, which is horrible. It's two very different shows. Two very different shows, but it's just a difference in how they're. I think it's a difference in what's popular of. Again, differing aesthetics and differing aesthetics versus homogeny, I think, is an interesting larger cultural observation.
Okay, so I have two things on this. The first thing, real quick, is you said a lot of Western pop music is less similar than Eastern pop music. Listen, I threw it up in the chat. There's a song called Pop 101 by this band Marianas Trench.
No, that's
Listen to
okay.
it, and you've listened to every pop music.
That's not my
listened to
point.
every piece of pop music the past 20 years.
I'm not saying chord structure wise, they're not the same. There's the ice cream chords. We all know that. It's the fucking that Australian group who did the
Where they like play a bunch of pop songs,
Yeah,
but all in the
yeah,
same key or
yeah,
whatever.
Yeah.
No,
using
that's
4 chords.
yeah. The
I know what you're talking about.
4 chords.
Is it just the 4 chord song?
4 chords. Yeah. It's called 4 chords.
Yeah.
The other thing I was gonna say,
But that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is Pop 101 like boils it down to its very roots, right? But when you break down lyrically and when you break down like the intricacies of the songs, I don't know. Never mind. I
understand.
You
I sort
hate
of
pop
understand
music
where
a
you're
lot
going,
more
though.
than I have a really deep appreciation for pop music and
I don't hate pop music. No, I see what you're saying though. Like, I
you do
understand what
hate
you're saying.
pop music, you just don't like saying you do because it's an unpopular opinion and makes you look like a snob.
No.
Every time I show you pop music, you snuff at it.
That's
Yeah.
actually not true at all.
You you had very strong feelings of hatred when I showed you the 1975.
I just didn't like the 1975. I didn't say they were
Oh.
bad. I just didn't like it.
Okay. I feel like you're underplaying your reactions to pop music I've shown you in the past, but sure.
Okay, Mystery Skulls.
Yeah. Yeah. Mystery Skulls isn't really pop music, it's more of an EDM.
Grab the popcorn, Malik. It's gonna be a while.
I'm just saying.
All right, whatever. That's not what this episode's about.
That's not what this episode's about. That's a separate episode. Yeah. Never mind. Look.
I'm going to
whatever.
share this thing that Jacob put up in the chat because this is like perfectly what we're talking about.
It shows all of the unique styles of animation. And I don't know.
So I think
I wonder. Oh wait, sorry. Malik has his hand.
when you were talking about like how the West is very different in terms of like show to show, whereas anime generally has like a similar style to it. I think what a lot of people don't realize or maybe don't know is how much Western animation actually influenced early like anime.
Yeah.
And so like
it has changed a lot. Newer anime is very different.
Because early anime, like, I'm not sure if you noticed, it kind of looks very Disney-esque because Disney kind of inspired a lot of like the pioneers
and a lot
that went on to evolve what we anime as we know it today.
A lot of old Disney also is the same.
Very true. And so,
as we talked about last episode.
Yeah, all the 90s animations from Disney are all the same.
If you go back and watch like older anime like Speed Racer, Astro Boy, Gigantor, those kind of shows, they're very cartoonish in nature. And that's because a lot of early anime back then was aimed towards younger audiences, mostly kids. But then eventually we moved on to what was called like the Gakiga movement, which is essentially like a group of manga artists wanted to make manga, but make it more detailed and aim it towards adult audiences. Now, it's not the direct reason for why anime what it is today, but it's definitely part of that influence. It's people saw this is very cartoonish. I want to make it look more realistic. But the thing about those early anime was that it was very cheap to produce because of how simple the character designs were.
Yeah.
People were like, hey, this kind of sucks, but hey, if it helps us meet our deadlines, I'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that certainly plays a part into it, and that's why, we kind of evolved from these big-eyed, wide-faced anime characters to, somewhat more refined, more detailed, depending which anime you're watching, but sure, there's still some, like, similarities between them, but
I just want to say,
anime's come a long way.
even in that quick look, they're still in the quick look of anime. There's that girl with massive titties, man.
I mean,
Yeah.
I can't defend it.
I
won't.
can't unsee. Like, it was the
It's there.
first thing my brain saw. I was like, there it is, big titties. And
I think it's more or less the sexualization due to like most manga and anime creators are male.
yeah, and there's such an issue too. I was just reading about this today of the. A lot of people think that because drawing characters with large boobs like destigmatizes having larger figures. It's like, no, it's a hypersexualization, and also it's an issue because a lot of those characters are children,
Yeah.
or aimed towards children. So
This is gonna sound really, really horrible, but just stick with me for a second. Just stick with me for a second.
every good sentence starts this way.
I think part of the, and I'm not defending it at all. I'm looking for like the root cause of why this exists, like why it exists and why is it this way. Eastern anime versus Western animation. We're looking at Eastern anime typically as the boobly moving around, right? I'm trying to think of it, and I can't think of a single Western show that tries to hypersexualize female characters in the same way. There are definitely Western animations that hypersexualize
Like the mom
female.
hips.
Yeah, there's definitely
Pixar
Western
mom
animation
hips.
that hypersexualizes females, but I'm thinking about in this way, specifically looking at Eastern anime. I think part of it might be sort of a cultural thing. It's more culturally
It's 100%
accepted,
cultural thing.
and it's sort of the difference between like, okay, in the West we show, you know, all kinds of gratuitous violence and gore and like that kind of thing on television, and it's still, you know, not recommended for kids or PG-13 rating or whatever. The second like a single frame of tit is shown, R rating, like absolutely not, like no way. In the East, it's completely the opposite. Like,
I mean,
yeah,
Not complete, but like Easter, like yeah.
I was gonna say,
East is
cultural
very
acceptance.
like anti, like showing, you know, like blood, gore, violent. Well, I'm talking about like on generally viewed television, just like in general. Like they're like the sexualization or over sexualization or hypersexualization of characters is more accepted than it is here, and violence is more violent. Gratuitous violence and blood and gore and whatever is more generally accepted here than it is there.
I think in part and this is just a historical thought. Pornography in Asia has always been really heavily physical pornography, so like realistic pornography of human people has been really heavily regulated, which is why hentai was created. Because cartoons were less regulated. Now it's regulated. I mean, but there's also like the reason why hentai exists is because you could not publish penises.
Yeah,
so
it was highly stigmatized.
It was highly stigmatized. So they used tentacles to simulate penises.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that's part of the reason in some ways. I'm not saying it is the reason. I'm saying I think in some ways a lot of animation was already leaning that way. So the styles make sense to blend in some ways. And that's not as true in America. However, there are still plenty of female characters in Western anime in Western animation that are hypersexualized. It's just that the sexual standards are different. And have been different because most female characters in Western animation are incredibly slender, don't have boobs, and if they do have boobs, they're comedic and they're plunging neckline shown in the same way they are in Western Eastern animation. Sorry, I keep fumbling, but especially like mid 2000s, I'm thinking like the 90s heroin chic thing was still in fashion to an extent.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's what was sexualized, was crop tops and low cut jeans that showed midriff and having no boobs and stuff like that. That's still sexualization. It's just not as overt because the body styles are not as overtly. They're sexualized in a different way. That's what I'm
that's
saying.
why I said in this way
Yeah.
at the beginning of that sentence.
Jake.
Go ahead, Jacob.
So, what Malik was saying about like the homogenization being tied to a desire to market to like adults, just my immediate thought was like comic books. Like DC and Marvel have kind of their own. Like the comic book style just kind of is for them. And while you can have different characters, like that's they're all like they all fit in universe. And so that's something I was thinking about is like comic books as well, like DC animated, Marvel animated features. Like that's where you see most of the like impossible like figures for women and like their weird curves and everything is in comic books. And so that seems like even though Western comic books and like Eastern anime and manga, like it's kind of basically like manga, comic books, like hyper popular things geared comic books used to be geared towards kids more, but as their audiences grew, they became more accepting of like having darker timelines, and then like 80s 90s was just like grim dark comic books.
Things got grittier.
So that's just something that I was thinking about. It's like maybe it's even bringing in like pornography, like the marketing towards adults is what is kind of like leading to these, like you want the men to be hyper masculine, and that means something different in anime than just being like a bulky dude. Like sometimes it's like you're the
edgy
cool,
skinny kid.
Yeah,
it's the same thing with like a fashion magazine.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah.
Like you go to the grocery store or whatever and look at just look over at the magazines, and there's like Muscle and Fitness, and there are like all these like triangular like heavily jacked dudes, and look at GQ, and it's like this nice like dude, like really thin and like a fitted suit that's probably 2 sizes too small for him. And you look at like the women's magazines, and they're all like, oh, like this is what you want to look like. And
no, it's cultural.
It's how to market. You're marketing to the unattainable image.
It's just the issue with all of that super arises too in negative portrayals, especially in animation. I mean, it's a conscious effort now as well, outside of even just sexism and racism and fucking negative cultural stereotypes as well. Like, hey, why does every evil character have to have a big nose? Do we hate the Jewish population? Like, why is that a thing? Disney.
It's coming down to we're realizing problems that have just been basically written into how art is drawn and how stories are told, and being like, this is a TV trope, or this is a trope in this style. Why is this a trope? Oh, this is a trope because in the 30s and 40s, like Jews were stigmatized and like racially profiled against, and so on and so forth, across every culture forever. Like, this is why this trope exists, and we're trying to write that trope out.
But that's a very recent. Sadly, it's a very recent movement of like, hey,
I would argue some progress.
Think about the implications. Oh no, definitely. I think some places are better than others, but
because I know like a very minor attempt was like with the Powerpuff Girls 2016 reboot. Where they were trying to like, I guess, get away from the objectification or sexualization of female characters. So like Miss Keen, they stopped drawing her with boobs. It's like, I don't think anyone cared, but at the same time, I'm not sure what the point was. And they like
It's
completely
that
removed.
he's got the spirit. Yeah.
And they completely removed Miss Bellum entirely because they just
Yeah.
thought she was like super sexual. I was like, okay, all right, I see.
It was just her legs,
I see it.
though.
It was like you just didn't see her face, but like she had like that kind of sexualized figure to her.
She did. She had
what's her face? Jessica Rabbit body.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think the thing that really bothers me about how people interpret Jessica Rabbit is she has the very famous quote that of
I'm not bad, I'm just
I'm
drawn
not-
this way.
exactly, I'm not bad, I'm not evil, I'm just drawn this way, or I'm not bad, I'm just drawn this way. And I think the heart of Jessica Rabbit is very much like she's just a woman who likes performing and this, and then she's very hyper aware of the animators' influence on her sexuality. But if anything, she I don't know, it's interesting to me. Characters like Jessica Rabbit and Betty Boop, and like how they're drawn in a pinup style, but their heart is not pinup, if that makes sense.
Feel that?
I don't know. There's a lot of cool things. There's a lot of when you compare his history, I feel like animation is a really easy way to pinpoint historical influences at the time, right?
Mhm. Easy
And-
example of racist Disney.
Racist Disney, man. The fucking Donald Duck
I mean,
Hitler propaganda.
Walt Disney was racist. Like,
Yeah, he was a massive racist. He was incredibly anti-Semitic, incredibly racist.
Yeah, we still have a whole studio in his name, and that just goes to show how far we've come.
I know. It's wild to me, and I don't know. I feel like I could talk about the historical implications and effect on art and media for hours. I find it so deeply fascinating. And when I say art, I mean anything from animation to music to architecture to fucking architecture.
I feel like
It's a whole separate podcast.
it's impossible for us to end on a high note anymore because
as the show goes on, Brenna gets angrier.
You won't like me when I'm mad.
I'm sorry, I'm a paladin, dude. Like,
okay, maybe what?
Let's go back.
Our final category was kind of like what makes a show or movie, like animated show or movie, good.
Yeah, and like what gives it? I think in turn with that, what makes it stick around and what makes it so memorable in some ways, like the staying power of it.
I think part of that ties into when the show came around.
Yeah.
I know like a lot of early 2000s and mid 2000s cartoons, they were loved by like people who actually watched the show, but a lot of the factor for why that show is being made is because to like drive merchandise or toy sales. Shows like Symbiotic Titan, some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or even Thundercats.
Oh yeah.
Voltron.
Like, people loved those shows, but since it wasn't bringing in the money the way Cartoon Network wanted it to, they just got scrapped.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you look at things like SpongeBob, which has made a gajillion dollars.
Mm-hmm. And that show kept going because like Steven Hillenburg, he wanted to end the show after season 3, like with the SpongeBob movie. But Nickelodeon's like, nah, dude, this is a cash cow. And so Hillenburg, he just left the show for a very long time, and then didn't come back until like a season or so before his eventual death. And so
did he really die?
Yes, he's dead.
Yeah.
Do you not remember the petition to have the SpongeBob Sweet Sweet Victory played at the Super Bowl?
I do, but I didn't know that had anything to do with his death.
It was entirely to do with his death.
he
Oh
suffered
shit!
from
Okay.
ALS.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Well, and
Okay, somehow I missed
if
that.
you look at even I mean, that's why Butch Hartman, God, and we could talk about Butch Hartman forever right now because
He's a trip.
because of the shit he's pulling right now. Yeah, I'm gonna pay $60 for fan art of a different artist commission, but I'm not gonna say that. Fuck you, Butch Hartman. It's frustrating that I like so much of your media. And Butch Hartman had the same style for all of his shows, basically, but because of the fun stories that they were telling, Fairly Odd Parents, Danny Phantom, I feel like those are the major two that I can think of off the top of my head. But
They're the only ones you should care about. We don't talk about Tough Puppy or Bunsen as a Beast.
oh,
Don't
I
look
forgot
into them.
about
Do
Tough
not
Puppy.
Google them. You are
I
fine.
forgot about Tough Puppy. Oh.
I've just been thinking
I
about
don't
talk
understand.
shows.
I've not been following Butch Hartman that closely. What
Holy
is?
shit. He
Do
was
I
a
want to
storyboard
know what
artist
these
for
things
Johnny
are?
Bravo? Wow. Okay, I'm just now going through Butch Hartman's Wikipedia page.
What is Bunsen is a Beast?
Don't worry about it. It's
It's just
bad.
don't worry about it.
bad is what it is. So he worked on Dexter's Laboratory. He was a storyboarder for Dexter's Laboratory, for the animated Jumanji, for the Spooktacular Adventures of Casper. He was a storyboard artist. For Johnny Bravo, he was a storyboard artist. For Cow and Chicken, he was a storyboard artist. For Family Guy, he was a voice actor.
There's a lot of stuff about him stealing cartoons.
Yeah, that's what he's recently been doing. Yeah, it's insane. But yeah, so
I don't know. I just don't follow these animators that closely anymore. Like
oh no, I
Wild.
had totally forgotten about Butch Hartman's existence until he plagiarized Attack on Titan art, and
Like,
Twitter
Butch
just-
Hartman is like a whole discussion on its
He's-
own.
truly.
wow, SpongeBob started in 1999 and is still going. 265 episodes.
Oh wow! I forgot about the Oaxus entertainment thing too.
Oh yeah, Oaxis. Yeah,
Oaxis.
that whole thing was super sketch, and even
Wow.
What is it?
Okay, in recent years, particularly after his departure from Nickelodeon, Hartman has been involved in multiple controversies. He started a Kickstarter campaign for Oaxis Entertainment, a streaming service stated to be family-friendly alternative. After the fundraising goal had been reached, it was then revealed that it was meant to be a specifically Christian one, which was never disclosed on the page. However, he later clarified while faith would continue to be a part of his life, Oaxis would not be a faith-based service.
Yep, because basically while the fundraiser was going on, he said, "Oh yeah, it's family friendly," but he'd like go out to churches, like basically saying, "Hey, I'm making a new network for you guys. Go watch it. It's gonna be Christian, family oriented fun."
Do you wish to have your family have a little more time together? Let's face it, with all the activities that we and our kids are involved in these days, it's getting harder and harder to get everyone to spend quality time together. And if you are fortunate enough to get everyone on the same couch, finding something to watch as a family without having to hide everyone's eyes from certain subjects can be even more difficult, right? That sounds Christian.
Apparently, it's still up on Kickstarter.
It is. That's what I'm reading. I just read the first
Oh yeah, okay,
of
no,
the
okay, I see.
Kickstarter. Yeah.
I remember wishing that there was a Bible video game as a kid, but in my head that was like,
oh shit, it's Ninja.
No, like the story of the Bible.
that was like
video
Jesus
game.
like hopping on the blue crocodiles from Donkey Kong. And that wouldn't have worked.
No, it wouldn't have. Yeah. And I mean, look, it's possible to do Christian animation, VeggieTales. Just don't hide it.
Yeah, that's
VeggieTales ended every episode with, and God made you special and he loves you very much. They were pretty clear that, hey man, we're chill with God.
Yeah,
but they didn't beat you over the head with it, which was great. Oh god.
And he didn't if I remember, I don't think he fulfilled a lot of the contributor goals.
No. I don't think
Or
he.
that or the
The
goals were
last
like
bit on Kickstarter is
thereabouts.
from January of 2019.
Yeah.
So
There's
the last update is now more than 2 years old.
this thing doesn't even exist, really. Like,
I think he did end up getting a show produced though. It was like a YouTuber by the name of Saber Spark who like reviewed it. It's like the cartoon is cringe. It's very Christian based.
man, Butch, why you gotta be that way?
Not to harp on religion or anything, but
No, as Brennan
you
just
got to be
said,
transparent with
VeggieTales,
that.
like
No.
VeggieTales was not transparent at all, but it also didn't beat you over the head and tell you were going to hell if you didn't
Yeah.
believe in everything that it taught you.
There's a difference between God made you special and he loves you very much and, like,
Eternal damnation for
family is the only thing that matters, and that's what God tells you.
I mean, the other thing is that it, like, regardless of what the animation would have been coming out of there,
Yeah,
like,
he lied.
using people's faith as a way to just get money from them is not
Yeah.
like there,
Yeah.
there's some people who do that and like know exactly what they're doing.
Televangelists exist for a
Yeah,
reason.
and like, and like you shouldn't like, you know, like there's obviously charities need money to function, and like that's a thing, but that's very different from like, you know, like preying on.
This man
people.
wants money to make a
Snake oil,
television
snake oil,
network.
prayer, fear
Preying on
mongering.
the prayerful. I don't know.
Well, like no,
I wish that
the
was like easier to make fun out of, but
I'm thinking the healing bait, like those are like, if you send me money, I will heal your soul.
you're a
Why are
cancer.
they Southern?
They're always Southern.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Because the Southern televangelists have the most trust in the game. I'm thinking of the Joel Osteens, the
Being in
the
the
Tammy
South
Faye
now,
Bakers.
Being in the South now, there's three. They follow three things here: sports, Jesus, and racism, and not always in that order. And it's just that's the worst thing.
What about a racist Jesus sports team?
And they exist. Like
The KKK's football league, flag football league.
Oh my god. Oh god.
how can we come back?
What
to
I
this?
hate is that I know that somewhere out in the world there is a flag football team entirely made out of like KKK members. Like that has to exist, and I'm really angry about it.
Both their home and away colors are all white.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Somehow we started this episode talking about children's television animation, and now we're talking about
Actually,
the
we
KKK.
started the episode talking about Alec Baldwin's wife.
We started the episode talking about his fucking cultural appropriating Rachel Dolezal ass wife.
I think it's equivalent to what Wikipedia speed racing. What was that called?
Yeah.
6 steps to Hitler.
Six
Yeah.
steps. Yeah. Or no, I'm thinking 6 steps to Kevin Bacon because that's
This was like an
Oh, the
hour
Bacon
and
number.
45 minutes to Hitler.
yeah. 45 days.
Although we mentioned Hitler earlier with Disney and
Well, what was that? No,
Donald Duck.
the good. Oh, what is it? The Goodwin theory? The Godwin theory? Oh, is it the Godwin theory that if you're whenever you're in a debate on the internet, Godwin's law of Nazi analogies is an internet adage asserting that as an online discussion grows longer, the probability of comparisons to Nazis or Hitler's approach is 1.
Here we are.
Here we are, guys. It's like the Bechdel test. It's the Bechdel test of Godwin's law. Can 2 women on screen have a conversation where they don't reference a male character? And as an online discussion happens, is Hitler going to be mentioned?
Okay, we have to wrap this up within 6 minutes. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
We haven't recommended like anything.
Yeah, Malik, round out the show with some of your animation recommendations.
Animation recommendations.
As the resident animation expert.
Yeah.
You want Western or anime both?
Yes.
Both.
Throw us
Give
whatever.
us 3 of each.
Yeah.
3
whatever.
of each.
Ooh.
Okay. Let's see. Anime. Let's go with the movie Akira.
Ooh, okay.
Extremely well done. Extremely difficult to make, especially for its time. It was like late 80s.
Somehow we didn't talk about Akira at all last
No.
episode.
I'd recommend that. I'd recommend an anime called Bakano.
Okay.
I think it's a show that was extremely well done. It's like general premises. It's like people from the mafia, thieves, and murderers are all in a battle for an elixir of immortality. But the
Okay.
story is told through interconnected stories.
Oh.
And so you're kind of like jumping from like, oh yes, 1930s. This
You said
time, this plot's-
Bacano?
Yeah,
B-A-C-C.
That's Italian. It's Italian for not exactly noise, more of like what you would assume the word ruckus means.
Bacchanalia.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, highly recommend that. And last one for anime, I'll say
Yeah,
I'll go with
Italian.
Code
ruckus.
Geass.
Code Geass.
Okay.
Really? Okay.
I love the intelligence that went into that show, and just all the planning that the characters did behind it. Now, everyone's like twigs in terms of character design, but I don't know. I thought it was a really great story. I thought it was
Okay.
really cool. One
Yeah.
of my top anime.
Okay.
In terms of Western cartoons, number one, I'll go with BoJack Horseman.
That comes highly recommended.
I enjoyed that show for how relatable, real, and
It's fucking
sometimes
sad, dude.
Oh, I know. I've watched the show like 5 times.
It's beautiful and how like it revels in how sad it is at times.
It like makes me understand the kind of person I don't want to be, and it makes me like reflect on my own life.
Yeah.
I made that both
Tragic
jokingly and seriously,
Yeah.
and so it's made me more reflective of what I like how I handle life. Another one, I'd go with The Amazing World of Gumball. I think just in terms of comedy, that show has done things I've just never seen before. The way it handles fourth wall breaks or relatable situations, like how to handle awkwardness, or there's like an entire episode where they basically make fun of Gumball fan art and put it into the actual episode, and it's just
There was a gift set circulating around Tumblr recently from Gumball where Gumball and his mom go to adopt a cat, and it's a real cat. And his mom, it's like a picture of a real cat, and Gumball's mom was like, "Just don't think about it. Don't think about it too hard. Don't think about the implications."
This is great. Just
Which
10
is
out of 10.
such a beautiful fourth wall break, and like a joke reference to Disney, right? Like Goofy and Pluto are dogs.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Goofy and Pluto are dogs.
And I think the last one I'll recommend is Ed, Edd n Eddy.
So I have to ask you how you feel about the reboot.
The reboot is not real.
It's not real?
No, it's not. It's not real. Are you talking about some circulated image that came out like 2016? They look very simplistic, almost chibi-like.
No.
Is it? No, there's the 2021 series.
This rumor has been going on for the longest time, and it comes up just about every year, and people keep asking me about it.
It's saying it's set to premiere the 5th. August 5th. Sorry.
And what's the source on that?
It's broadcast. I'm not seeing a major source, but I'm just think this is wild. Here's Screen Rant. I don't know.
I know some artists started making circulated
it's not
art,
gonna happen.
and everyone's like, "Oh man, this reboot! Oh man, it looks awful." I'm like, "It's not a thing."
No.
They've been talking about it for the past like 5 years. It's not a thing.
No, it's not gonna
Interesting.
happen.
Oh, here it is. Here's the Snopes article that says that it is false.
Yeah.
Interesting. Weird.
Yeah. That makes sense
Huh.
to me. I don't know.
So yeah, like some artist, he put out these images and everyone, he's like just started trolling everyone.
That's the worst.
Yeah.
Of course, this fucking rumor started in 2016 with a Tumblr post. God
It
Yeah.
did. Of course it did.
damn it,
If you
Tumblr.
can learn anything from our podcast, you can learn a couple things. And one of them is Tumblr is generally a bad place.
That's a
coming
bad
from
place.
me. That is coming from me. Tumblr's a bad
So-
place.
So rest assured, at this point in time, there's no plans for an Ed, Edd n Eddy reboot.
I feel safe.
The
I feel
world
safe
is
now.
a safe space now.
Yeah.
But those are my 3 shows, both Eastern and Western.
I think
Okay.
that's a pretty interesting lineup. We really gave a wild assortment of shows that we recommended watching.
Yeah, and we did touch on Western animation last episode. So if you feel like there's anything we missed or anything we didn't talk about, definitely check out last episode. We talked more about Eastern animation, although without Malik's expertise, opinion, views. But thanks for being on the show with us
Yeah.
and talking with us about animation.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun. Really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
And if you want more
Thank
of
you.
Malik, he's got a YouTube channel.
Yeah, we'll link out to his YouTube channel again. It'll be in the description of the YouTube video.
Malik, can we
we'll
get a sneak peek?
Next video is Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends.
Yes!
Hey.
I've been
Interesting.
waiting for this episode, Malik. Ah!
Okay. All right.
I can't believe you actually gave us a sneak peek. I was mostly
course,
on for the meme.
I always give it when people ask. So
Yes.
Okay. And
Wait,
if
can
you
I
want
have your
more-
kidney? Sure.
If you want more random nerd shit, we'll be back on the Dr. Z show talking about who knows what. But our special bet episode is coming up soon.
Oh my
So
god.
definitely stay tuned for that to see who wins the bet. But my money's on Jacob, actually.
Really?
Gotta say, my money is on Jacob.
The unfortunate thing is that the bet is based off of something that we have control over
I
before
know.
the bet episode actually happens.
So
So any
if-
one of us could cheat.
Could just
Cheat.
ruin it.
And I'm not gonna say I've been intentionally swaying my impact, but I've been avoiding.
I mean, cheating is not very nice, so we'll just
Well.
avoid it as much as possible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we'll see you guys next time.
On the Dr. Z show. Adios.